Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. I'm Maheen, and in today's episode, we'll explore how empowering young entrepreneurs can contribute to sustainable economic growth across Canada. We'll dive into the importance of providing mentorship, loans, and resources for small business owners. Our guest today is Greve Young, the CEO of Futurepreneur, a national nonprofit organization that has supported over 18,700 young entrepreneurs across Canada. With a strong background in finance and strategy, Karen leads a team committed to empowering diverse entrepreneurs, ensuring that small businesses have the tools they need to thrive in today's competitive environment. Karen, we're thrilled to have you on the podcast. How are you?
I am so well. Thanks so much for having me, Maheen, and for inviting me to talk about my favorite topic.
Very pleased to have you on the podcast. I mean, your work with Futurepreneur has been instrumental in shaping the future for Canadian small businesses, and we're all ears for that. Now, Karen, Futurepreneur's, mission is all about, has always been about, empowering young and diverse entrepreneurs, providing loans and mentorship to help them start, grow, or even buy a business. And in
Yeah.
today's world, supporting entrepreneurship is so crucial for building an inclusive economy. Can you please share with us how Futurepreneur's mission contributes to economic prosperity and helps drive entrepreneurship across Canada?
Well, it's actually core to everything that we do, Maheen, and I feel like we need to hire you to our team the way that you're talking about what we do, because that's exactly it. There are so many aspiring business owners looking to either start or buy a business across Canada. I think it's pretty widely known that 98% of Canadian businesses are small businesses, and they generate over $900 billion in annual GDP. And you hear a lot in the news today about the importance of productivity, the importance of GDP growth and GDP per capita growth. Well, that's what we are driving every single day through what we do. So we have a proven model that has been in place since 1996 of loans alongside mentorship, realizing that entrepreneurs need both money and mentorship to really have what they need to succeed. And if you look at small businesses across Canada, we estimate that about half of 1% were actually supported in some way by Futurepreneur, which is a pretty high, big number, actually. When you look at the businesses involved, it's over 18,000 entrepreneurs we've helped launch businesses since we started. And the impact that they're having in communities of all sizes is absolutely huge. It's over $3.6 billion in annual GDP, and over 1.7 billion of which we think is because specifically of what we do. So we ask our entrepreneurs every year, what would your journey have been like without Futurepreneur? And 2/3 of them tell us that they would have grown smaller or slower without us.
Right.
14% never would have started at all. And so that's what would be lost. So when you talk about our impact on inclusive economic prosperity, it's those founders who never would have been able to get started if it weren't for this accessible loan financing, this accessible mentorship to help them at that early stage of their journey.
I really imagine that the impact stretches far beyond the business itself. So really touching communities and local economies. And with such an emphasis on, inclusivity, how does Futurepreneur ensure that entrepreneurs from all backgrounds feel supported, particularly those from equity deserving groups?
It's all about representation. So I think in the first instance, the fact that our core model, we're not a for-profit, we're a non-for-profit, we're not a bank. We were actually started by banks because they realized that they weren't able to support young startup businesses. We didn't fit into their risk model. So they set up this nonprofit, which has now been going for a long time, specifically to reach the entrepreneurs who wouldn't be able to access other kinds of financing and don't have networks. And if you think about the barriers for entrepreneurs age 18 to 39 are high generally. The
Mhm.
barriers are higher for people in certain communities. And our team is so representative of exactly the communities that are too often excluded from opportunity. 2/3 of our team identify as women. We have about 30% of our team identify as Black, 6% identify as Indigenous, close to half are newcomers to Canada, which is what positions us so perfectly to have tailored programs, especially for Indigenous founders, for Black founders, and our brand new My Canadian Startup program for newcomer founders, where not only are they getting the entrepreneurs getting the support that they need, they're getting it from someone who shares their lived experience, who really knows what their journey is like, not just from an entrepreneur perspective, but from a human perspective, and has that experience. And I think the fact in particular that our Black Entrepreneur Startup Program and Indigenous Entrepreneur Startup programs are led by people from those communities is what gives them more authenticity and credibility in helping those entrepreneurs feel seen and helping them realize that their needs are being uniquely met.
The Futurepreneur's approach to fostering, a diverse entrepreneurship is a very powerful driver of sustainable growth, and it's clear that the support you offer reaches far beyond, financial backing, really creating a sense of community and inclusion. Listeners, when it comes to starting a business, mentorship can be just as important as financing. And at Futurepreneur, young entrepreneurs not only receive financial support but also the guidance they need to succeed. So, if you're considering starting your own business, please remember that seeking advice from experts can make all the difference. Now, speaking of financial support, Karen, let's dive into the recent loan expansion announcement because in September, Futurepreneur announced an exciting loan expansion, increasing the maximum loan amount for young entrepreneurs. And this is a huge boost for those that are looking to start or scale their businesses. So, could you please tell us more about this enhanced loan offerings and eligibility expansion and how this increase will impact young entrepreneurs in Canada?
Absolutely. So we did this actually in direct response to the feedback that we've been getting from entrepreneurs. We started off providing $15,000 in the early days, but recently, about 5 years ago, we increased our loan amount from 45,000 to 60,000. Well, 60,000 today isn't what 60,000 was 5 years ago. And we keep hearing that they need more of the kind of financing that they can actually access, right? This collateral free financing that comes without a business track record, that startup stage. And so we've worked with our partners from the BDC and for our Black Entrepreneur Startup Program from RBC as well to increase our loan amount to 75,000. And entrepreneurs have told us that this will be a game changer for them. To be able to access that much funding for their startup could be the difference between really starting and being able to buy their inventory at the scale they need or not. And actually, for entrepreneurs starting side hustle businesses, because we support those also, it's $25,000, which used to be only 15. So this increase in amount really helps make sure that the entrepreneurs have the resources that they need, as you said, alongside that one-to-one mentorship to help them start. The other thing we did, and you mentioned the eligibility change, this was huge. We're the startup partners for entrepreneurs, right? We are there at that early stage before they have a track record. And yet what we realized, and we heard time and again from entrepreneurs, is that we were still leaving a gap because we were only supporting up to 12 months in business. And banks and financial institutions traditionally need up to 2 years they need 2 years of business results to fund. And so there was this gap between 1 and 2 years, and that's what we just addressed. So we just basically increased our eligibility from 12 months to 24 months. So an entrepreneur can access more money and for that longer stage getting started. So sometimes entrepreneurs will bootstrap at the beginning and think that they can keep bootstrapping. And then they'll realize that they need some external funding in order to buy what they need to succeed. Now they have a little bit more time to realize that that's what's required and to access our more inclusive, more accessible funding to do so.
Right. No, that's such a game changer for entrepreneurs, especially young entrepreneurs, giving them financial flexibility they need to take their business to the next
Mhm.
level. But what
Exactly.
advice would you give to our young entrepreneurs who are hesitant about taking on a loan to start their business?
It's a good question. I mean, I think the reality is that it's really great that there are different kinds of financing available to entrepreneurs. For an entrepreneur who is doing a high tech or research intensive business where they're pretty far from having cash flow, but then they're hoping to really get outsized returns, a loan is not the answer for those entrepreneurs. Equity is the right answer for them because they're not going to have the cash flow to pay it back. But for an entrepreneur who has a product or services based business that is hopefully going to have revenues within the first year or two in business, a loan's perfect because they get the money that they need up front. they're able to pay back that loan over time. And in our case, the loan is interest only for the first year. So it's a 5-year repayment term, but the principal payments don't kick in for a year. And so they have really a year to really gain traction and start having sales before they have to pay any of that money back, which means that they're able to get the money when they need it and then repay it back over time. Realistically, $75,000 repayable over 5 years. Most businesses that are viable should be able to be repaying that loan if they're making the revenues that they're anticipating. Again, if it's a revenue generating business. And the great thing is that they own the whole business at the end of it. They haven't given up equity. I think sometimes people will talk about bootstrapping or friends and family rounds. Friends and family rounds and bootstrapping from your own resources only would be a great solution for those entrepreneurs who have those personal and family resources. But that's just not the reality for so many founders, and particularly for the founders that we have.
Mhm.
I would say, though, it is important to be responsible. And one of the programs we have that's so valuable for entrepreneurs is our Rock My Business series, which includes Rock My Cash Flow, Rock My Business Cash Flow. And we have a cash flow projection tool that entrepreneurs can use, because if you're going to take a loan, you want to make sure that your cash flow projections will cover those payments. But here's the good news. Let's say things are going really well and you are actually able to pay back your loan early. You can do that without penalty.
Right. Well, this loan expansion,
It's great.
it's great, and it's a significant step in helping young entrepreneurs access the resources they need to grow. And it's not just about funding; it's really about providing that confidence.
And I have to give props, if I may, Mahim, to one of our teams. We have a client support team that works with entrepreneurs when things aren't going well, because things don't always go well. So if we need to, we will provide restructuring options, and we will help entrepreneurs have more flexible terms in repaying their loan, because things don't always go as expected. And that's the support that you get from a not-for-profit like
Mhm.
us.
Absolutely. No, to our aspiring entrepreneurs, please remember, that starting a business is a journey. And, with the right financial support, the right resources, you can overcome obstacles and make your vision a reality. And Futurepreneurs expanded loan offerings can give you that boost you need. So please don't hesitate to explore the opportunities as we go to discuss them. Karen, next we'll discuss a new initiative that aims to support a unique group of entrepreneurs that are newcomers to Canada. Launching a business in a new country, it's so challenging, especially for newcomers. And Futurepreneur recently launched the My Canadian Startup initiative to provide specialized support for newcomer and entrepreneurs. Can you please tell us a bit more about this initiative and how it helps newcomers navigate the unique challenges they face when starting a business in Canada?
Absolutely. This is an exciting new program that we have, and we are launching it in partnership with TD. They are supporting this through their TD Ready commitment, and really, it's all about, again, recognizing the additional barriers that newcomers face when they're launching a business, because for them, it's not just their business that's new; it's Canada. Doing business in Canada is new. Everything is new, and so it's giving them both the support networks and also the resources and tools to better understand the environment in which they're starting their business. So this program has several different elements. We have a new resource, an e-guide that will be launching in October and November 2024, that really helps with that, from the foundations of business terms in Canada, right? What is HST, right? How do I think about debt versus equity financing, to Canadian business culture, how to manage a business in Canada. It provides that kind of resource and expertise, and then also these workshops where newcomer entrepreneurs can come together and connect and have the kinds of conversations and ask the kinds of questions that will be helpful to them on their journey. And then if you look at our loan financing, so those resources I just mentioned, they are available to all newcomer entrepreneurs in Canada. For our loans, we do actually need the newcomer to have their permanent residency or citizenship, but they don't have to have built credit. So if they don't yet have a credit history in Canada, we have a loan offering that takes that into account. And again, as with all of our loans, that comes with one-to-one mentorship. So really, it's again, we keep listening to our community and trying to think about where the gaps are, where are there equity deserving entrepreneurs who need that special tailored programming in order to have those equitable opportunities so that they can start and succeed.
It's so important to recognize, the additional hurdles that newcomers face and provide them with tailored support. And this initiative, it sounds like a fantastic way to empower these entrepreneurs and help them really integrate into Canada's business landscape. To build onto this a bit more, Karen, do you have any success stories or examples of newcomers who have benefited from Futurepreneurs programs?
Oh, there are so many. I have so many favorites. I mean, one of the ones that's very well known, I think, particularly among the women in your audience, is Majori Jewelry. Nora Sakisha came from Jordan and founded Majori, and it has been wildly successful with over 2 dozen stores in numerous countries.
Right.
And then, but the businesses we support span all different sectors. So I can think of two home construction related businesses. We have Alex Chunga with iHome Prestige Luxury. He came from Zambia and settled in Millbrook, Ontario with his business. And then we have May Ilya, who came from Syria, settled in BC, and she has her Magnum construction business. So again, bringing their expertise from their home countries and coming here and helping people. We know we need housing in Canada, so they are building housing. We have a lot of culinary foundations of entrepreneurship, and we have two Brazilian examples in Toronto. For instance, we have Paulo's Cake Shops from these wonderful Brazilian roll cakes, and then we have Mary's Brigadeiro chocolates, both from Brazil, both in Toronto. We have fashion like Rodi Lamour, who's a fashion stylist from the Dominican, now in Montreal. We even have alternative meals, from whether it's alternative proteins with Brother Sprout, which is plant-based proteins. It's a business in Newfoundland. The founders from the Philippines originally. And then we have delicious dog cakes. So delicious, beautiful confectionery treats for canines from a wonderful couple who came to BC from Russia as part of our Rainbow Refugees program in Canada. So if you think about the hundreds of thousands of Canadians who've come relatively recently to make Canada their home, they're coming with all of their experience from their home country and all of the ambition to make things happen in their new country. And so helping them start their business in a meaningful way, and having those businesses, again, from colorful dog treats to beautiful jewelry to lovely homes. I mean, that's making Canada better, and it's bringing a lot of beauty and richness to our country.
Well, thank you so much for highlighting those success stories. I mean, the My Canadian Startup Initiative, it's quite a testament to Futurepreneurs' commitment to inclusivity, ensuring that all entrepreneurs, regardless of background, have access to the resources they need. And great point made there, Karen. Starting and running a business, it requires more than just a great idea. And entrepreneurs need a diverse set of skills to succeed, from leadership to financial management.
Yeah.
In your experience, what are the key skills that young entrepreneurs need to develop in order to succeed, especially in today's competitive environment?
Well, I think the biggest thing that they need is it's not a skill as much as it is a mindset, right? They really need that growth mindset, that confidence and belief in themselves, but belief not in themselves in a fixed way based upon what they have and what they know today, but that they will keep growing and developing what they need over time. Because as their business grows, what their business needs really will change. And I don't know a business that has not faced setbacks on its way. Those are inevitable. It's how you address those setbacks and how you think through your different options, think through what pivots are required. So I think that mindset is key. It's also where the mentor comes in, right? It's where, if you think about, each entrepreneur starts with what they have. And in what they have, it's vital that they know the business sector they're going into, right?
Mhm.
They need to be the expert in what they're trying to do with their business and what their business is. And they can learn about the market. The more their mentor and their business networks can help round out their understanding as their business is growing and they're having to build on new areas of expertise, hiring their first employee, launching their website, launching a new sales channel. They have those networks can really help them shape things and build things. I think if any entrepreneur started with where they are today, with the idea that that would get them all the way there, they're going to miss out on a lot of success and a lot of opportunity.
Well, it's really fascinating to hear how skills like adaptability and resilience are also so important. And those are the traits that entrepreneurs can continue to develop over time as well. But if there
Absolutely.
is if there is one skill, Karen, that you think is often overlooked by young entrepreneurs, but it is critical to their long-term success, what would it be?
At the end of the day, if you think of the Ikigai framework, right? You're trying to do something which is what the world needs. It's something that brings you joy, where you have expertise, and that people will pay for. That people will pay for is a key thing, right? That financial management that you need to have. If you have product, you actually need to sell the product, and you need to sell it in a way that you can make money and
Mm,
run your business doing that. So I think understanding financials, understanding the role, like that financial literacy, is really, really key. And you don't have to necessarily do all aspects of it yourself, but you need to understand that your business model will work. And that's again why these cash flow workshops are vital. Why having a mentor you can bounce off your model and say, here's what I think my revenue plan looks like. Here's what I think my costs are going to be that are required for that. What do you think? And the mentor can actually look with some objectivity and say, I think you're wildly optimistic about the revenues that you're gonna bring in. What if this, that, the other, and then kind of reshape it and reframe it. I mean, the reality is you're gonna keep building as you go along, but most entrepreneurs start off thinking about what they want to do, and they don't think enough about what it will take financially to make it successful.
The skills that you've outlined, they're essential for navigating the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. And it's
Yeah.
quite a good reminder as well that learning never stops. And even after launching a business, it could be useful now as we approach those times where competition is great,
Yeah.
right? But on that, we'd love to kind of also touch base on some common challenges that entrepreneurs face and how they can overcome them, because entrepreneurship comes with its fair share of challenges, from financial hurdles to market competition. Owners often face tough decisions as well. So Karen, what do you think are some of the most common challenges that young entrepreneurs face today, and how can they best prepare to overcome them?
So I think I'm going to think about them. I mean, there are so many, but I'm going to think about them in a couple of different categories. One is actually what your offering is, and the best way to overcome the challenge of understanding market demand is to throw something out into the market, right? If you have a product or a service, you will not know how the market responds to that product or service until you have it out in the market and you are testing it on customers. And we see all the time companies pivot and actually end up with a product which wasn't their starting point, because they realize that their starting point is structured in such a way or packaged in such a way that it isn't what the consumers want. But as they've learned from consumers, they refined their product and gotten it out there. So that's one really, really important thing. And that helps you build your credibility, build your track record, with lots of quick wins, and you start gaining a following, and that really is what gets you where you need to go. I do think I'm going to come back to the mentor and the network. So important. Having that mentor that you can bounce ideas off of, learn from their expertise. We do learn from failure. We learn from setbacks. A mentor enables you to not only learn from your setbacks and your failures, but also theirs. And they can share with you what didn't work and help you anticipate where you'll need to pivot, anticipate what you're going to need to do before you need to do it. And then I think also understanding and building in some flexibility. Again, that's where it's helpful to have a loan rather than an equity investment that comes with expectation of certain milestones with people who own a stake in your company depending on what kind of company that you have. So I think having that, accessible loan framework where you can call if you need to shift things a little bit in your payment schedule, and work with it in a way that will meet your business's needs. The reality is that you can't know going in exactly what will happen. And sometimes what happens is you get more opportunities, and you need to actually figure out how to cobble the resources together to take advantage of those opportunities. Sometimes you have additional setbacks. I mean, I'm thinking back to the pandemic where we had an entrepreneur in the prairies who had just opened a new fitness facility with training bikes, and everything was closed and there was no indoor training. And she quickly pivoted to actually renting the bikes so that people could take them home with them to do her classes on Zoom. Was not plan A, but she pivoted to plan B. And I think entrepreneurs, again, that resilience, that flexibility is key. I think if there's something that gives me pause when I hear someone who thinks that they want to be an entrepreneur and they say, I want to be my own boss and I want to get rich, I think, when you're an entrepreneur, you aren't going to a day job where you have one boss. Your boss is all of your customers and all of your suppliers and everyone who's counting on you. Like everyone who's counting on getting paid by you or buying your product, they are all your boss. So it's on your terms to some extent, but it's also very much on their terms. And the path to financial success is not quick or easy. So you really have to know your why and know your product, know what you're selling, and be really, really convinced that it's what you want to do.
Absolutely. You said it beautifully about, the boss term because a lot of people do think that way, right? And it's true that the journey of an entrepreneur, it's full of obstacles, but with the right mindset and the support, they can be turned into valuable learning experiences.
Huge opportunities.
It is huge opportunities. But how does Futurepreneur specifically help entrepreneurs tackle these challenges head on?
Well, what we do is we have different programming and different resources depending on where entrepreneurs are on their journey. So for someone who's at the early stage, so I would classify these people as people who are aspiring business owners, but not current entrepreneurs. We have several different workshop series. We have our Rock My Business series, which has Rock My Business Idea, Rock My Business Plan, Rock My Business Cash Flow, where people can actually develop, thanks to funding from RBC, develop their business idea and really flesh it out. We have a tailored program called the Opiki Win series, Journey to Financial Empowerment, which takes some of the elements of the Rock My Business program, and more tailored for an Indigenous entrepreneur and an Indigenous audience that actually is grounded in Indigenous ways of learning and thinking. We have our new My Canadian Startup series for newcomers. We have our Owners Wanted series for aspiring business owners who don't want to start their own business. They want to purchase an existing business. So I think this whole array of workshops, and we really develop them as we hear the need from communities, that's how we start. And then we have business development managers and client relationship managers who work with entrepreneurs who come to us to help them hone and develop their business plan and cash flow to qualify for kind of the next stage of our support, which is that loan with mentorship. So that loan that comes with mentorship, we never give a loan without a mentor. And we also don't give a mentor without a loan. And we have an incredible network of 2,300 volunteer mentors across Canada who provide that one-to-one support. So that's really in those first couple of years of business, getting that money and mentorship that entrepreneurs need to start. And then they've started. And then it's the network. And so we do connect entrepreneurs with each other through a variety of networking opportunities. We have our upcoming holiday shopping tour where we're going to be in 7 locations across Canada, encouraging entrepreneurs to sell their product. And we also have an online marketplace. So helping entrepreneurs sell and helping them connect with other people who are also selling. And those connections can be great. We have we're Canada's home for the Global Entrepreneurship Week. So Global Entrepreneurship Week is coming up. We have our own growth accelerator, and we're Canada's host for the G20 YEA. And I hear, in fact, we have 2 board members, Lauren Blessy and Etienne Crevier in Alberta and Quebec, respectively, who were not only Futurepreneur supported entrepreneurs, but they participated in the G20 Young Entrepreneurs Alliance. And the connections they made as part of the G20 YEA still keep them going. They still kind of meet with their fellow delegates as sort of their council, as it were, and they bounce ideas off of each other. And I think that those resources for entrepreneurs that are at that same stage in their growth journey can be really helpful. Connecting people. We work with about 1,000 new entrepreneurs a year launch businesses with our support. So it's a lot. And so breaking that down into smaller communities where entrepreneurs can connect and learn from each other is really key.
No, entrepreneurship can be daunting, but with organizations like Futurepreneur offering such support, I think the path becomes a little easier. But Karen, thank you so much for your insights today. But before we close and let you go, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience or any final piece of advice for those that are looking to start their entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, I guess what I'd say is even with all these supports, and Futurepreneur works with 350 partner organizations across Canada. So there are lots of organizations. I would say, Team Canada is looking to help you succeed. If you're an entrepreneur in Canada, we are all here for you. We're working together for you. And even so, it is a hard, lonely journey. And I would just say, really doing what you need to put in place support for your own mental health and mental well-being is so important for entrepreneurs because it is hard, it is lonely. So whatever you need to do to fill your cup so that it isn't empty when you're trying to build your business is key, whether that's a little bit of time in nature, mindfulness, whatever you need, including finding the right people and resources to surround you on your journey. That really is what helps you succeed. I think people think about entrepreneurship as being a marathon, not a sprint. What it really is a marathon of sprints. It
Yeah.
is full on for a long time, this journey, and you have to look at it with a long view while consistently pivoting and adapting along the way. But it's so exciting, and I'm really excited for all the entrepreneurs who will hear this podcast and who benefit from all of the SME magazine stories over time. And so thank you very much for continuing to shine a spotlight for these amazing entrepreneurs.
Karen, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. I'm sure this will be such a game-changing, series that we're kind of, covering throughout the Small Business Week. But again, thank you for sharing your expertise and for all the incredible work that you're doing at Futurepreneur. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maheen. Take care.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. We've had the pleasure of speaking with Karen Greve Young, the CEO of Futurepreneur, who shared valuable insights on how Futurepreneur is empowering young entrepreneurs through loans with mentorship and resources. And we also discussed exciting new initiatives like the loan expansion, the expanded eligibility, and the My Canadian Startup Newcomer program. Again, a special thanks to all our partners as well, RBC, UPS, Constant Contact, IAG, and Google for their invaluable support. Please don't forget to visit our website, CanadianSME.ca, to subscribe to the magazine for more insightful content. Again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.